Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. It is October 25th, 2025. Just a short video. I don't have the time right now, but I know there's a lot being discussed online about the ending of the Fabio Wardley Joe Parker fight, right? Many people feel that Parker was ahead in the fight, didn't look badly hurt. Should the fight have been stopped? Also, understand Wardley, high risk. He's not just throwing punches. This isn't the guy who has you hurt, comes in, throws a flurry to convince the referee to stop the fight. No, Wardley's throwing power shots, folks. You wonder whether Parker is playing a cat and mouse game, hoping that Wardley is going to tire himself out. You have to ask yourself, if this fight continued, what would Wardley have left in the tank? But let me just say, to understand the ending of the fight, you have to look at the last minute of the prior round. Understand, Joe Parker is boss until about 35 seconds are left in the prior round. Then Wardley badly hurts Joe Parker. Parker staggers for a moment in the prior round. So then, in the last round, understand, Wardley's throwing a lot of shots. Parker's not clinching. Parker is not throwing anything back. Right? No clinch. Not throwing anything back. Then he goes over to the ropes. Now it's clear, looking at Parker's balance, that Parker has his wits about him, right? Parker's leaning forward to have some shots, wing by him, to smother some shots. But Parker does get hit with some shots. And there's the last shot that Wardley lands where it hits Parker and Parker has his head leaned back. He's up against the ropes. And he looks like the shot hurt him, right? We know Wardley's a gifted puncher. He's offensively blessed. So the referee made a call that's reasonable, right? In other words, if you're on the Parker side of the play, you're thinking, oh man, what's Wardley going to have left? Is Parker playing possum? But the reality is, Parker should have done something offensively. Right, folks? It's a long period of time, and Parker's just out there. He, has Wardley throwing shots at him. They're big shots, right? Wardley doesn't do things lightly. They're big shots, and Parker is dodging some of the shots. He's outside. He walks over to the ropes. Right? He didn't do anything to look like alpha in that last round. So, I'll say this. Heavyweight division right now, folks, it's interesting. Right? Parker walks in with Tyson Fury. Fury's a possible opponent for Wardley. Right? They're both Frank Warren. Shouldn't be a hard fight to make. Understand, you have, of course, the elephant in the room, Usyk. If I'm Usyk, I really have to ask myself the question, do I want to get knocked out by Fabio Wardley? Understand, I don't think Usyk has anything to worry about in terms of winning a decision. Right? But Wardley isn't going to be moderate. Right? Wardley isn't AJ. He's not going to be cautious and stay in his lane the first few rounds. Right? Wardley's going to come out. Wardley's going to try to throw big punches. I notice he shortened the time that it takes him to throw that right hand. Right? The problem with fighting a Wardley is what Joe Parker just experienced. You can outbox Wardley. But if he gets a shot, and to me the shot of the fight is the shot Wardley lands in the last 35 seconds of the prior round, right? If Wardley hits you square once, right, this is the guy who's not going to let you off the hook. Parker was lucky to survive the prior round. Then we get to the round where the fight ends. And, Wardley is out there going for broke. If I'm Usyk, how do I want my career to end? It's possible Usyk could win almost every round and get caught. Right? Wardley, Usyk's calling card is stamina. Let's just say we know from Wardley's last two fights that he has plenty of punching power late in the match. Right? Let me also say, too, and we've talked about it here online, you get a guy hurt in a fight where you need a knockout to win the fight. And, a Ray Leonard would throw a combination. In other words, you just want to let your hands go. Because there's a chance that the referee is going to see you throwing punches on a guy who you just hurt and is going to stop the match. Here it's interesting, right? Wardley comes in and he's just throwing heavy shots. No thought about surviving the round himself. Right? This was blood and guts, folks. That last round is a must watch. Let me just say, too, Wardley picks up Joe Parker's interim title. Right? Usyk, I believe when you're the consensus heavyweight champion, right? Just like it was when Riddick Bowe was, viewed as the heavyweight champion. You can allow yourself to get stripped of some of the belts. If Tyson Fury comes out of retirement and Usyk decides, you know what, let me fight Fury, I'm familiar with him. Right? Fury, let's be blunt, might not hit as hard. In fact, doesn't hit as hard as Fabio Wardley does with that right hand. Right? That's the reality. So Usyk might think, okay, you know what? Fury, in terms of Usyk's own legacy, has been champion for years in the past. Right? A loss to him isn't really as shocking as if Usyk were to lose to Wardley, who has never been heavyweight champion, right? He's been interim, but has never been heavyweight champion. Also, a match against Fury might be a chess match, right? Both fights went the distance. If things go south, okay, maybe Usyk gets outboxed. Maybe it's controversial. Maybe 40-45% of the public believes that Usyk won the fight anyway, whatever the decision. Right? With Wardley, if things go south, folks, you can get knocked down. It would be news to all of us if Usyk were to get staggered. Like Joe Parker got staggered in, I believe, the 10th round. That'd be news. Right? So if I'm Usyk, I really do ask the question, do I want to fight this guy? Right? Understand, the expectations are high because Hune outboxed Wardley. Joe Parker, in my opinion, outboxed Wardley. Wardley still got the knockout. If he fights Usyk, we'd be sitting there, we would expect Southpaw Usyk to outbox Wardley. The question is whether he could do it for all 12 rounds. One thing we know for certain, if Wardley lands and hurts Usyk, he's going to go for broke. Right? He's going to open up. Folks, we just saw that. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours in the comments section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.